Issue 1052 of Detective Comics starts with a flashback in which we see Chase Meridian being saved by Batman. She's talking about a particular perception she had of superheroes when she first came to Gotham and how that kind of changed after she was saved by one of them. And yeah, the whole intro is basically all about her. It's basically to come to the conclusion that what she's about is asking questions, not providing answers. That's who she is. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure that that particular introduction is expanded upon within the rest of this particular issue in a way that I find satisfying. Like, I feel like that was a theme that was being set up there at the beginning to run throughout the rest of it, but it just seems to be a thing that is just, yeah, that's its own little moment, and then we move on. Now, whether that will come back down the line in later issues and might work better in graphic novel form when all this story is put together in a graphic novel, I don't know. But for now, it was just like, oh, they're setting something up. Mariko Tamaki is setting something up here, an idea, a thread. And then it's just like, oh, okay, it was just a thing. All right, but yeah, later down the line in this particular issue, Chase is caught under the spell of Psycho Pirate. She's about to blow the whistle in many respects, but Dr. Ware, Psycho Pirate, they find out and they do a number on her, and they have her kind of call round and say, no, sorry about that. I was wrong. I was talking rubbish, blah, blah, blah. So embarrassed. I must apologize. So it's like, yeah, they get inside her head. Now, like I say, that's kind of, there's not so much an arc for her in there. She's just doing stuff. She's just saying stuff, and none of it really ties together in a thematic way, which, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. The story's not over yet. Either way, the message that Chase Meridian leaves on the answering machine leads to our Bat team, our crew, finding the headquarters of the party crashers and crashing their party. Sorry, I had to go there. But yeah, so, you know, fisticuffs ensue, the typical kind of superheroics. And they gather more clues as to what is going down in the tower. They know that, okay, the drugs that are going into the tower are coming back out of the tower and are hitting the streets. Therefore, what the heck is going on in the tower with regards to the so-called healing of these patients? Because clearly it ain't drugs. Right near the end, we see that Huntress has left a clue for herself under her bed. We see this as she's talking to Anna Vulshan. And I gotta say, in the moment when she's talking to Anna Vulshan, I felt a sense of tragedy, really. I know, it was there's a certain sense of sadness seeing someone who clearly has psychosis, and I'm talking about Vulshan here, not Huntress, who has a level of psychosis that makes her a murderous human being. And yet here, because of what Psycho Pirate is doing, she has a level of calm, she has a level of peace, which is, I don't know, there's something quite tragic about that to me. I don't know why, but I mean, ultimately she's not under her own steam here. Her murderous impulses are being dampened by someone else. So it's, you know, there is that question: is she really who she really is, or is she not? That reminds me of an X-Files quote: "Mulder, you may not be who you are." But yeah, there's a certain level of tragedy in that. This video is brought to you by Wow Comics. Visit wowcomics.com today and order your comic books online and use this code down at the bottom of the screen, WowBry1. when you place your order, and you will get 15% off. I've teamed up with Wow Comics to bring you this video and others like it because they are a company I trust. I buy my comic books from them, so I suggest you do the same. As I say, use the code WOWBRY1 at wowcomics.com and get 15% off your order. In part 6 of House of Gotham, we pick up this story with the kid. He's sitting in an ice creamery with this friend, Elliot. I shudder to call him that because he seems like quite a despicable human being. But he's one of the, other than Clayface, he's literally the only friend this kid's got. So I guess you got to take what you can get when you're in the kind of situations he's in. But yeah, him and Elliot are in this ice creamery, and I swear, the artwork in this, I don't think it is accidental. But the guy serving the ice cream looks like Dick Miller. And any Gremlins fans out there, you'll know who I'm talking about. This is an actor who's worked with Joe Dante loads of times. He was in Gremlins, and yeah, the artwork is like that. That's Dick Miller. I'm pretty sure that is modelled on Dick Miller, big time. Anyway, we get this story in which Elliot tries to get the kid to steal from the Penguin, because if you remember from last issue, they are both working for the Penguin, and Elliot wants to steal from the Penguin and rope the kid into it, and unfortunately that results in the kid, he reluctantly is going along with this, but he kind of gets caught up in it and is then caught in the act by the Penguin, and he has to make a choice. Certainly when Batman shows up, he has to make a choice, and again, it's following those two through lines, those two themes of, one, terrible father figures, terrible influences upon this kid's life, and two, the freedom to choose in those moments, the nature versus nurture aspect of the story. Is this kid gonna hold to his better nature, or is he gonna let these really bad influences in his life dictate what he chooses? Now, throw into the mix Jason Todd, a young Jason Todd as Robin. This is the snot-nosed punk version of Jason Todd from the 80s, which essentially is the reason people voted to have him killed. He shows all the unlikable qualities that those who voted for his demise way back when kind of saw in him back then. I don't like Jason Todd in this at all. He's a little upstart, basically. It's understandable where he's coming from. I got more compassion for him in my older age than I did way back when. You know, being a father, seeing why people do what they do, and knowing that Jason is a kid who comes from the streets, comes from a life of crime. You know, this is someone that Bruce took in to try and prevent them going down the wrong path, because they were already heading that way. But he just, he's very impulsive. He's very smarmy and very kind of full of himself, cocksure. And as a result of that, the kid, once again, is dealt a harsh blow in life. So, you know, as if he didn't already have enough kind of hatred towards Batman for what he perceives to be Batman's part in the death of his mother and father, he now has reason to hate his partner, who he does recognise as being younger than the previous Robin, the previous time he'd seen Robin. So the kid is clearly smart. He's clearly observant, clearly more observant than much of the Gotham City Police Department, who don't seem to latch on to the fact that this kid never gets any older, in fact gets younger. This story also touches on some of the elements that were kind of brought up in previous issues, which is this notion that Bruce, great vigilante, terrible father, he's not really got this father thing down yet. I'm not sure he ever does, to be honest. But yeah, just like we have this scene that it's just really cold where Jason and Bruce are having dinner. And it's like, you know, the 1989 Batman film when Vicky Vale goes over and they have dinner and they're on that really long table. It's like, can you pass the salt? You know, it's like that. And you're just like, dude, this guy, you've taken him in as like a surrogate son. You're trying to look after him. And he's like way down at the end of the room on this table and you're way down on the other end. It's just like, it couldn't be any colder. You've got Alfred sat, well, he stood at the side of the table. But he's on more on the side of the room that Bruce is on, which makes Jason feel even more ostracized and isolated. I think that's very intentional. If you look at the artwork and you look at the themes that are in the story, where, you know, what this is saying about Bruce and his parental style and whatnot, the mistakes he's made in life as a father figure, just that one image alone says an awful lot. So The Tower Part 6, I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. I feel it doesn't, I don't think Mariko Tamaki like drops the ball big time or anything, but I feel like this is one of those issues where it's having to pick up a lot of stuff from what's come before. It may be setting up stuff that comes later, and there isn't really a clear theme there that's being discussed in the way that I've seen in previous issues. But that's okay, you know, this is one part of a 12-part story, so you can kind of make allowances for that. Pacing is still on point, so yeah, and I'm still really enjoying it. I still really want to pick up the next issue. So 4 out of 5 for The Tower Part 6, and 5 out of 5, once again, for House of Gotham Part 6. Just very invested in this kid who, again, like I say, whose name we don't even know.